And then the other thing is that, as we find out a little later, it was a $2.9 million house.
Yeah, because I was like, hold on.
Listen.
I know we got big dreams, but if you're gonna tell a man who you just met 4 weeks ago that he's gonna buy a house, start with in his price range first.
Go to the 3-bedroom, 1-bath, 3-bedroom, 2-bath.
Start around.
That's in an up and coming neighborhood. Start
in his price range, because you done scared a man half to death.
All right, so welcome back to the channel. My name's Kevin.
I'm Tarsha.
This is Conversations with the Crawleys. We do conversations about faith, family, relationships. And if you haven't guessed by now, we do recaps as well. In fact, that's kind of most of what we do. This is all about Married at First Sight in Nashville, season 16. So this is content that you enjoy. You already know what to do. Hit that subscribe, hit the like, request notifications.
And share.
We'll see you in the comments. Consider becoming a member and check out that merch store. All right.
Check it out.
Check it out. Check it out. All right. So let's talk about the couple that
don't get enough video.
Well,
screen time.
It's hard to give a lot of video of them when one's in one bedroom, the other's in the other bedroom.
Well.
And they about to fight over a dog. So
Hank gonna go with Clint.
Hank like, look.
I want somebody gonna be home most of the time and not at the shop.
By now you know Gina and Clinton, who we talking about. So this whole episode, for the most part, is the whole take them by where you grew up and reveal a part of yourself to them that is determined by where you grew up and what you saw when you were younger and how that impacted you and what life is like when you're 8 years old. And write a letter to yourself too.
Yes, your younger self.
So
I think it's a good insight to always to share your past or how you grew up if you can.
Yeah. So for Clint, they go play soccer because that's what he did growing up.
Right.
He played soccer.
And he talked about how his feet was bigger than his body.
Yeah.
That happens for each child.
Yes.
So that
our son
stage.
has a size 18.
Yeah, he's sharing all his business, huh?
So yeah.
But he's 6'7". You gotta
so
even out.
6'8", so yeah. His feet match his body. All right. On Gina's part, she took him to hair school.
Because that's where she started over.
Yes.
She thought she was going to go into communication.
And broadcasting, yep. And he did say that was kind of, it helped him to kind of see a side of her as far as her ability to shift, her ability to be flexible, change, and adapt, So
I'm glad he's feeling like he's getting insight. I don't hear that a lot from Gina on her
Gina
side.
don't care. Gina like, look, when this camera ain't here, I'm texting with Mackenzie or McKinley, whatever his name is.
Well, yeah. We'll see. I'm assuming that should be coming around the corner.
Coming around pretty soon.
So, but they're just trying to share their experiences with one another, how they got where they currently are.
Right.
So far, so good. I think other than that, they just had where she had some of her employees from the beauty shop.
Because she ain't got no friends.
We were trying to figure out, have we met any of her friends come over?
Gina ain't got no friends.
Because she works so much.
Mm-hmm.
So
her employees are her friends.
Sometimes it happens that way.
So.
But other than that, I don't remember anything.
There wasn't too much that stood out. We might have missed something because, we fell asleep on their parts. Let me know what you think as far as them. Because to me, they
didn't have a lot going on.
They're kind of their most intriguing parts were their honeymoon when it was the whole, he said, she said about each other type of thing, right? Now it's just kind of like they settle into being, we're going to make it through this. We're going to survive to the 8 weeks, but they're not moving forward as a couple. I think that was decided 3 days into their marriage.
They're just being friends.
They're being very cordial, friendly. They're having good friend conversations.
Correct.
But nothing's growing romantically. There's nothing.
There's nothing in depth about marriage or after the 8 weeks. So.
Nope, not a thing.
It's like, oh, well.
Yep. Nicole and Chris, let's talk about them. So she took him to a place that reminds her of home because she's from New York.
Mm-hmm.
So Married at First Sight was like, you better figure it out because we're not flying you back to New York. That ain't happening. So she found like a little like Italian restaurant / store.
Yeah, they were somewhere. I don't know if they combined it or what, but she was kind of sharing her past and the type of girl
she was a bad child growing up. And because she talked about lying to her parents and staying out, and when she got to high school.
Well, she kind of put it on them, like they allowed her to be a free spirit.
They didn't give her any boundaries, right?
And she wished she had boundaries because she was out there wilding out.
wilding.
So and she's like, I hope he doesn't judge me. And I'm like, I think I wouldn't expect someone would judge you when you said you were a child, right?
But he did say, yeah, she reminded me of my exes, and if she was still like that, we would not be moving forward. So he was kind of judging her. Like, as long as that's your past, we okay. But if that creep into our present and start showing up in our future, it ain't happening.
Well, because she talked about lying a lot. She's like, I was just lying and lying. I'm like, don't say that too much, because then he'll know when you're telling the truth or not. Right. So I know she was concerned about him judging her, but at the same time, you're like, you need to keep saying, but that's in my past. I've grown. I don't do that anymore. Because she was just like, I was just a liar.
I've been delivered. So yeah. They wrote the letter to their younger selves. He talks about how it hurt his heart to see his mother in bad relationships. Yeah,
that his mom was in an abusive relationship. Mm-hmm. And then she brings up, she's like, oh, wow. Kind of like how I was in an abusive relationship. So I was like, did they set him up with his mother?
Ooh.
I didn't know if you thought about that.
Yeah, because when you just said it, was like, yeah, it's almost like, because that also can lend towards like a messiah complex almost.
Mm-hmm. You want to rescue.
It feels like you got to rescue.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Captain Sava.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was kind of thinking about that. She says that he's not a pushover. Like, when it comes sometimes him needing to say no to things, he's able to say no. Mm-hmm. So I feel like they're getting along really well. I can't remember, though, what he took her to.
He took her to the paint store.
That's right.
He took her to Sherwin-Williams.
That's right, because his dad...
He was sitting in Home Depot having dinner.
His dad is a painter. Has a painting company.
Paint shop or something, yeah.
Yeah, paint shop company. And so I was like, okay, well, that makes sense. Because at first I was like, oh, does he got money? Like, are we talking money? Mm-hmm. So he was kind of sharing how at times his dad could be verbally abusive. Right. And was very perfectionist when it came to his job and different things like that. So he didn't want to spend time with his dad originally. Right. And how they had drifted apart when he was younger. And now he's him and his dog. So I hope this dog never pass away. Because he talked about his first dog, like if something happened to that poor dog, Chris won't be able to live.
He will, yeah.
And so he was saying he had no one to keep his dog, and he decided to trust his dad. And his dad did a great job taking care of the dog, and it kind of helped them to bond
build their relationship again.
Yes. Yeah. And he was sharing with Nicole how at the wedding, her meeting them and making them feel comfortable, that Chris's dad really liked her, and he was sharing that with Nicole and different things, and he's like, and I think that also kind of brought us even closer as well. Mm-hmm. So pretty much him and his dad are back on the same page, like Nicole is with her father. Right. So they kind of keep bonding over all these different experiences of life. Yes.
And then they're back at their apartment, and what's his name? Chris pulls out the body paint, which I think they went over to Shaq's apartment.
It wasn't body paint.
They had some little things of paint. I think they stole it from Shaq.
No, because I don't know what they were creating.
I don't know. Then they started doing like these impressions of different accents and everything.
Yes, while they were painting. They were just enjoying each other's company.
Let them enjoy each other's company. I'd have been like, look, nah, that don't work.
So, other than that, they seem to be.
They're moving forward.
They're moving forward.
They're probably going to stay together.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So,
yeah.
Jasmine and Eris.
Mm-hmm.
So she meets with her friend Nikki,
mm-hmm.
and she's like, "I need more from him, baby girl. He's trying to give you more right now. Now, we know, and we'll admit, he's not up until like the last episode, really much." Mm-hmm. Pretty much, he wasn't really making an effort, but I'll give him credit. I try to give credit where credit is due. Mm-hmm. He's making an effort right now. Mm-hmm. So you saying that you need more from him, that's fine, but you've got to be willing to open up to the more that he's giving you.
Yeah.
So he took her, as far as taking them to where it was important to them growing up, he took her to a card shop. Mm-hmm. And pulled out his collection. Mm-hmm. And they talked through it, kind of what it meant for him.
Right.
How it, helped him as far as making friends when they had moved and everything. Mm-hmm. And he says that she has been having difficulty opening up now because he's opening up. He's sharing a little more than he was before, and he's asking more questions than just what's your favorite position.
Well, and now she's scared to open up because she's like, what if I open up? And because he waited so late to open up,
he just bounced.
He'll just leave. And granted, I understand her fears, but when you're telling someone, I want to see this out of you, you have to do your best to stay open because love is a risk. I'm so sorry. It is.
No matter how long you date.
Exactly.
Whether you married at first sight or married after 30 years.
Exactly. And so you have to make that effort, because you do get tired. Like, oh, I'm trying, then you're not trying. Then the opposite happened. I stopped trying, then the other person started trying. And so you play this game instead of saying, okay, I want to be open, fine. I need to do my part so that it all works together.
Yeah.
Because pretty much they're just pulling opposite directions every time.
Yeah. It's like he puts his wall up.
Right. She takes hers down. Right.
He takes his down, she puts her wall up.
Right. They never meet at the same point. That's so true. And it's keeping them from moving forward. They both are keeping each other from moving forward.
Yeah. Now, a little later, they do, like, I have in my notes the black couples because that's what it was. But Eris and Jasmine and Shaq and Kirsten go do airsoft and what have you. Mm-hmm. And the couples kind of split up, right?
Yes.
So Jasmine and Shaq are talking, and she's kind of like, she's feeling better, but that she was vulnerable, but she's trying to stay true to herself. And he's like, you need to hone in on your true self. Who are you? What are you doing, right? And then this is the part that last week we were like, I don't think it's what they were making out to be, because if you remember the trailer last week, they were trying to make it out like Shaq was kind of hitting on Jasmine. Mm-hmm. And Shaq was like, look, I ain't trying to hit on you or nothing. He said it really clearly. Mm-hmm. But you're an attractive, you're an intelligent woman, da-da-da. Basically, he's like, look, you shouldn't have to deal with stuff like that, but this is where you're at. So, and she does talk, kind of just their whole process. And then on the flip side, Eris kind of talks through his things with Kirsten as well, as kind of where he's at, and that he's kind of trying to open up now, but she's not really fully.
She ain't feeling it.
Right.
But I think it's also saying, I think it's about saying, I'm so sorry. I'm really making an effort now, and I see you're back. You just got to acknowledge the elephant in the room.
Right.
So it's like, I'm so sorry. I wasted a lot of the time, not putting my walls down. Now that I'm open, I just need you to trust me that I'm really trying. And we need to do this together.
Right.
And that's kind of how you lead.
And that should be the conversation, the way the conversation should go. In other words, he should pull her aside and be like, look, you know what? I did mess up. First few weeks, I was not vulnerable. I was not. I want to open up, but I also needed you to open up. I think if he were to do something like that, the response would be different. But the fact that he's doing it, yes, he's doing it, but she's so closed off right now that I don't think that she's fully recognizing it.
No, she doesn't. I don't think she fully recognizes it. Because like right in the midst of trying, she goes, I can't.
Yeah.
But sometimes you need someone to help you pull it out of you, right?
Right. You need a different perspective to help you see.
Yeah.
So she does also talk about in their letter to their younger self, she talks about how moving from Murfreesboro to Memphis impacted her just as far as like different environment, different school, different peers and everything like that. And how, you know, she was received when she first got there, that people considered her too proper and da-da-da. So I've been to Murfreesboro. I wouldn't consider that the beacon of properness.
But I've been hearing Memphis is a little on the hood side.
That's true too. So,
according to John Morant,
well,
it's a little bit more hood in Memphis. So
that's just Ja. That's not even his real name. His real name is Clarence. No, it's not really Clarence.
But I'm just saying, I can see how, depending on where they end up living when she had to move, how that could, you know, the whole change of environment where everyone was used to her and now she's not the new, you know, everybody probably grew up together and now she's the new person.
She's the outcast.
So, and that she was really bullied.
Yeah.
As a child.
And he does acknowledge, he's like, look, and it's interesting how you're kind of now helping young ladies to kind of go through what you went through, helping them kind of see themselves. He also does talk about, he reads this letter that his dad had wrote to his mom. Yeah. So again, I think that part of, and we kind of touched on this before, I think part of, not fully, but part of his I hate to say issue, but part of his issue may also be, or challenge, yes, is part of it is the loss of his father at an early age. So. Well,
and I think him being vulnerable and even, because he shared this with Kristen.
Kay, just call her Kay.
I don't want to mess up the lady's name. Sharing with her that he's never read a letter from his dad to anyone else in his life. And I think if he shared this, like, hey, I really want to share this with you. I've never shared this with anyone else. Again, just kind of reiterating, like, hey, I really want to put an effort in this. And I'm so sorry that I wasn't in the past. I want to read you this. And so she was paying attention and really staying focused and asking him questions about that. So hopefully, potentially, that could be something that maybe she'll start opening up a little bit.
Possibly.
You know, but again, if you're not going to apologize, acknowledge it, then unfortunately it may be too late.
Yeah. Agreed. All right. And then that was it pretty much for them, right?
Yeah. I don't remember anything. His letter to himself, you know, talking about him and his challenge, you know. With his dad, losing his dad and everything. Yeah. But he was kind of feeling like they were kind of similar in the stuff that they had to go through when they were younger.
Yeah. All right. So then Kirsten and Shaq. So y'all remember Kirsten is a realtor. And she takes Shaq to, she's like, I'm going to show him kind of my life and what I do for work, you know, since he's going to be designing websites for me and creating logos and all this stuff. She's like, look, how be bringing that money in. Well, see what your services is going to help me to do that. So she shows him a house, and it's a nice house. Yeah. 4 bedrooms upstairs, 2 bedrooms downstairs.
And, you know, they're looking through the house and everything, and they're trying to picture how it would be if they lived there. And
kids running around the house.
And if they had kids running around the house. And
they're talking future.
Which is great. So they get back downstairs, and she's like, okay, so now you know what I want. I want you to buy me a house. And he like, woo.
In 3 months, because your lease is up in 3 months. And that place I took you to in the beginning, when I took everybody to my apartment and it had no furniture in there, that was the Airbnb, and my contract with that Airbnb is over now. So I need you to buy us a house, because Married at First Sight ain't gonna keep us in this apartment forever either.
And he was like, "You mean us?" She was like, "Oh no,
nah, you,
you sir, you're gonna buy a house." And he was like, "Okay."
And she's like, and you know, because I've always wanted to say my husband bought me a house.
Because I know people. She said, "I know couples that
husband buys
a house,
buy a car."
And he was like, "That's good for them."
Do you want to be in that marriage?
Right.
Or you want to be in this marriage?
Right.
Because over here on this side,
right,
on this side of Memphis or Nashville, where they at, right?
Mm-hmm.
This side of Nashville, we don't do that.
You like,
like we can buy a house
right
together,
right? And she's like, "Oh no, you're gonna buy us a house." He was like,
but remember, I turned that job down, so. And then the other thing is that, as we find out a little later, it was a $2.9 million house.
Yeah, because I was like, hold on.
Listen.
I know we got big dreams, but if you're gonna tell a man who you just met 4 weeks ago that he's gonna buy a house, start within his price range first.
Go to the 3-bedroom, 1-bath, 3-bedroom, 2-bath.
Start around.
That's in an up and coming neighborhood. Start
in his price range, because you done scared a man half to death. Because, you know, she takes him to her home as a child.
Yes.
And was, you know, sharing about getting things for Christmas and feel like they never
liked for anything, right?
Right. And then when her parents split, that's when things started changing.
Mm-hmm.
And she just felt like her dad was always taking care of them and a protector.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of how she saw, you know, her husband being.
Yeah.
But the thing is that he's never met her dad.
Never met her dad either. Yeah.
And so he's thinking to himself, like,
you comparing me to somebody, I don't know what they look like. I don't know who they actually are.
Right. You're comparing me to someone, I hope I could get to meet him. He's like, especially since there wasn't a dad in his life, in Shaq's life. So he's like, I want to see, how did he provide? How did
Because the house you took me to don't look like a $2.9 million house.
It is not.
So
yeah.
If you're going to compare me to your dad.
Correct.
I might be able to upgrade from that, but let's not start off at 2.9, because we started off at 2.9.
Right.
Where are we going from there? Because
So
we've looked at some expensive.
Oh yeah, we have
some nice houses.
We looked at some nice houses,
and we joke with each other that, you know, you're gonna get this for me or what have you. And yes, those are goals that we have, but we in this for a long time. What? Don't act like I don't see you talking or mumbling or whatever you mouthing.
You got it, babe.
I do. Okay.
You got it.
Yep.
You can get it for me.
So y'all need to go ahead and subscribe right now. Let's get this algorithm working.
Come on. So I can get my 2.9.
Let's go. Come on. Subscribe right now.
Subscribe.
And hit that merch store.
Hit that merch store.
And double the book time. That I got in the bottom there too. Listen.
Double time. We hit it double time.
Listen.
Mama need a home.
If you want us to come do some marriage counseling for you, listen. Hey. You want us to find you a date. You want to do a wedding? If you want us to swipe left or swipe right for you, we can do it.
Oh, Jesus. Doing good, baby. Working on it.
Yep.
You working on it.
And you got to work on my car. All right. So, so yeah, that's part of the issue. And so now they do go and meet with his godmother and his godsister.
Yeah.
Right. And yeah, he does kind of point out as they're kind of going there, or kind of his talk with the producer. He's like, she hasn't invited him to interact with her family.
Mm-hmm.
But he's like, I want to show who I am. This is my family. Family's important to me. So they're sitting there talking, and Shaq,
he takes care of his family, and he tries to bring them together. He felt like after his grandmother passed, that people were starting, to
drift apart.
And he wanted to make sure they stay together. And he takes care of his goddaughter,
and
her sister.
send, Mother's Day text to all of his aunts and everything, and
make sure everyone's reaching out to everyone.
Coordinates the family, get-togethers and stuff like that. So
showing that he's really a family man, and family is very important to him.
Yes.
And Kristen felt like she was seeing that side of him. And so, because we learned in the after party is that maybe it's the dad, that her dad is kind of avoiding him.
Yeah.
Because she said every time she tries to get together, either the dad's busy or at work. And so it's hard for them to meet.
Right. Because she's even said she's tried to, while her and Shaq are riding around, she's tried to call her father and be like, hey.
Well, she has. She
has called. Right. Mm-hmm. Because she wants to show Shaq that she's making the effort to try and get them together. It's just he's busy. He's working. He's out of town. They can never get schedules coordinated. And yeah, it sounds as if the dad is kind of like, look, I'll see what happens after these 8 weeks. See if you're in her life, and then we can kind of chop it up from there.
Because the dad did not come to the wedding.
Right.
So
it sounds like he was kind of against the whole thing anyway.
It's possible, right?
So, I forgot earlier when she was showing the house, she did say that there was some chemistry for today.
Oh yeah, she said today.
Like, there's some chemistry today.
There's some chemistry.
Tomorrow, I don't know about tomorrow, but today there's chemistry. When I'm showing this $2.9 million house, there's chemistry.
Yeah, because when they have their couples date night, that's when Shaq was talking to Jasmine and everything. And the father question came up. And he's like, no, it's not bothering me.
Jasmine's like, don't play with me. I hear you. I can
see.
Listen, my marriage is already having issues. I'm trying to help you. Be honest. He's like, yeah. It's bothering me.
It's frustrating. I have not met the father. So then they come home, Shaq and Kirsten come home, and they're eating, and he gets into it with her.
Well, first she said something about buying a Ferrari or something, buying a car.
Oh, because she already got a Mercedes.
Right.
And
so now he got to buy her a Ferrari.
And he was like, what? What are you talking about? And she's like, I'm just playing.
Because when she saw, in my opinion, when she saw him starting to get like, whoa, time out. Hey, let's make this real quick right here. That's not happening right now.
This money train.
In the future, we can definitely move towards those things, and we can build towards that. But don't look like 3 months when my lease is up that all of a sudden we moving into something that you just tried to sell. I'm not paying your commission as my wife. Your real estate commission.
And she was like, I was just playing. I was so playing. And he was like, look, let's go back to the beginning of this relationship where you didn't want me teasing and playing all the time. And so I don't want you be teasing and playing all the time. Because she said, Shaq, we have to look at things and see where our money is.
And see what we get approved.
See what we get approved for. Because
you ain't just walking up and being like, I
want a $2 million house. Go ahead, run my credit real quick on that. Okay.
Run that real quick for me.
Okay, how much good credit you got? You got to have good income to back your good credit
Here
up.
you go, stuff I just made up in Excel for you. Go ahead and run that credit for me. Do that, player.
Do that. So he was like, and I think I think because you are still trying to discover when someone's being serious, when someone's trying to be funny, and I don't think the time when they were going to see that house was the time.
It wasn't.
Because, he does want to be a good husband. He does want to be able to provide. And so he's already heightened, right? They've already consummated their marriage, and they feel like they're trying to get on the same page. And here you go, blowing it up again and going all the way up here. I haven't met your father. Right. So I think that just it just combined.
Joke around on
300,000.
Yeah, depending upon where the area you are in and what prices run in your neighborhood. Like for us here in Phoenix, you might joke around with a $600,000-$700,000 house. That's a little above the average right now, right? You might joke around that. I'm not going up into, where was it, Camelback Mountain where we went to. I'm not joking around at a $6.5 million house that we went and looked at. I'm not joking around in there. I can joke around. My jokes only go to like the $600,000 range.
That's where your jokes
That's
go.
where my jokes, they land really well right about there. Anything above that is just like, nah, plug. Nah. So
you pay $10,000 a month
ooh,
in a mortgage.
Ooh. And then what you got to come up for down payment? Because you know those things you can't just run down to your local credit union and pull up that type of a loan.
No.
It's a little more involved than just your regular FHA.
Can you get FHA?
No, you have to go jumbo.
I don't think so.
You have to go jumbo.
I don't think you can do that.
Jumbo or conventional. I can't remember what the limits are on conventional, but yeah, you're not doing FHA. You're not just doing 3.5% down. Nah, bro.
Ain't no program for that.
Nah,
no program.
Ain't no program. Ain't no discounts for that.
No, there's no closing costs paid for.
Listen, they not trying to run you no deals on that. You got it or you don't. Because if you can't afford it, this ain't for you. But yeah, she says she's just joking. He's like, you joke too much. Because you said I joke too much. So I think again, I like them as a couple.
Yeah.
I think they have potential.
They do.
Now, on the after party, because she also did kind of mention how she wasn't necessarily jealous or put off by him complimenting Jasmine, but she was like, it was a little difficult for her because she felt like he was having a more free-flowing conversation with Jasmine than he's had with her. Well, part of that is because you kind of had your wall up and were like, I don't have anything to share. So that's why he's having maybe a little freer flowing conversation. But I also get, you don't want to see your spouse having just a free conversation with somebody else.
Well, and it's different when that's just a friend, right? Because you can be vulnerable as a friend. Right. Because you're just kind of sharing, you have someone to vent to.
And Jasmine coming back and telling you everything, I'm sure. So,
right. So it's no big deal. But I get it. You always want to hear it from your spouse first, than hearing it secondhand.
Or watching it on TV.
Watching it on TV, yes.
So, I think that was it pretty much for this one.
Yeah.
I don't think there's too much more.
No, there's not a lot forthcoming other than them getting to know each other.
Right.
Trying to figure out what their boundaries are and learning what expectations are. Which
is part of any marriage.
Well, yeah.
It's just accelerated in this process.
And it's funny how as kids we look at our parents and think because our parents was a certain way, that's what we want. And what we don't realize is just that
you gotta build your own.
You have to build your own. Because just a quick funny story, our daughter thought that all men cook. Because she's like, yeah. She's like, because my daughter's not a big cooker. And she's like, my husband's going to cook. I said, well, how you know your husband's going to cook? Because daddy cooks. Okay, baby.
No, baby girl, you got to find that.
you gotta ask.
You got to find that.
Because all men don't cook. But she was raised in a house. Her father cooked. So her assumption, because of how she lived, is that all men cooked. Well, that's not always the case. So I think for Kirsten. For K. So is that she has to realize she might find out her dad didn't do as much as he did, or the way he did it was different than what she's assuming.
Right. The way that he provided may be a different way than how Shaq provides.
As long as you're provided.
Right. Because we don't know everything that happened between Kirsten's parents. So there may have been something there that they said this ain't gonna work out, right? So don't hold him to the image of somebody or the standard of somebody that you're trying to build a successful relationship with. And if we're honest, they didn't have a successful relationship, right? So build your relationship with Shaq and develop what's success for you all. And yes, you had a great father who took care of you and made sure things were taken care of. But now you have a husband who you're trying to build something with and help him to be the provider for, help kind of know what you want, right? But don't come at him with, 3 days of marriage under your belt talking about $2.9 million houses. Build that as a couple and grow that together. So All right.
All right.
That's it for this one.
That's it.
Y'all know what to do. Listen, if you haven't subscribed already, what are you waiting for? Because she telling me I got to get up. So I need this algorithm spinning up for y'all. All right? We'll see y'all next time. Have a great one. Be blessed.
Bye.